2021 is gonna get a major facelift. NASCAR has released its schedule for the 2021 season, and a lot of stuff is gonna be changing. Yo, what is up everyone? My name is Jeff Carlson. Welcome back to the episode of Inside the Lines. Guys, before we get into today's episode, I posted a video late last night going over two tracks, Kentucky and Chicagoland, losing their cup dates, and went really more in depth with those two racetracks. I also talked about Kyle Larson and rumors swirling of him potentially going to Hendrick Motorsports, and also Chad Knaus leaving the crew chief role and taking out a leadership role at HMS, and how could this play a role in the team's future with the next gen car coming in 2022. But that is for yesterday's episode. You can check it out after this episode. This episode, we're just gonna go over the 2021 NASCAR schedule, which was just released earlier today. So let's not waste any time and jump right into it. So let's start off with some notables. There are a lot of stuff that's gonna be coming into the 2021 schedule. But let's first start off with our first part. 6 road courses are gonna be added onto the schedule. 3 new ones. Now, this is coming from the usual 3 road courses we have had since 2018, and that was Watkins Glen, Sonoma, and the Charlotte Roval. Obviously, this year, Sonoma was not able to take place, so it was replaced by the Daytona Road Course. But yes, we're going to get 3 more road courses added onto the schedule, which is very, very awesome. NASCAR fans have been preaching for more road courses, as they have been, quite honestly, the best, or has provided the best form of racing the entire season. So to see the road courses get more love and NASCAR adding them, it's going to be truly awesome to see NASCAR take on some new road courses. We're going to get a bit into that as we dive deep into the 2021 schedule. Now, with the 3 new road courses being added on to the schedule, those are also 3 of the 4 new tracks that NASCAR will be adding in 2021. Now, 4 new tracks, that's a number that many people had been expecting. When Nashville was first announced, many people were saying that NASCAR would add 3 more races, including Nashville, as new tracks for the 2021 schedule. So not very surprised to see that. But again, still pretty cool to see NASCAR adding new tracks. I personally thought that they were going to add maybe 1 or 2 new tracks to the schedule. I honestly didn't think NASCAR would do this much, but I think 4 to 5 is a good amount of new tracks to add onto the schedule. But in my opinion, one of the biggest things that jumps out with the schedule is the next point. For the first time since September 1970, NASCAR Cup Series racing will be going on dirt at the Bristol Motor Speedway. It will be replacing the spring Bristol date. Again, I discussed this in depth a lot more in the last night's episode, where I talked about on how Fox Sports sort of pressured the people at NASCAR and Bristol to make some form of change with the racetrack. Because if you look at the spring Bristol races and their attendance, it has been dreadful, absolutely dreadful. It got so bad to the point where last year they blocked out the audience or the attendance grandstands on the turns. You can only sit on the straightaways, which just look horrible. I've always stated that I don't think the racing is the problem. I just think it's the place that's the problem. I mean, since 2014, I think we've only had 1 race at Bristol when there was no rain, and that was 2016. Outside of 2016, since 2014, there's been either a rain delay or a postponement of a race due to rain. Again, I dive in a lot more on my real thoughts on this. I wasn't a big fan of this change. I'm still not a fan of this change, but I do like that NASCAR is making a change. I am happy with change. I think more change creates uncertainty, especially when you look at the NASCAR schedule. More changes to the racetrack, new challenges, more uncertainty. I think it could create more storylines and possibly better racing. It's going to be very interesting to see how NASCAR does on dirt, especially when you take a look at the only series that NASCAR has done races on dirt since 1970 was, I think, a race at ARCA, I forgot what the track is called, and Eldora and Trucks. Now, as for the Xfinity Series, there is no report on whether the Xfinity Series will also race on dirt. Right now, Cup Series racing on dirt at the spring Bristol race. Now, with new tracks and more road courses coming onto the schedule, that means some tracks have to go. We already talked about Kentucky and Chicagoland losing its date. NASCAR has added 4 more track dates that they will lose in 2021. So the first stop is Michigan. That's a race that not many people expected, or a lot of people expected to be removed. Dover number 1, that's also a race date. They're going to be losing. Now that will be going to Nashville Superspeedway, which is a track that Dover owns. So They basically don't lose a racetrack, I guess you could say, because they own Nashville. Texas loses a race date, but we reported on that a few weeks ago that they're going to be losing a race date, but they will be gaining an all-star race, as the other Texas race date will go to the new Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. But I think the biggest surprise is what you see there. The sixth and final race to be removed from the schedule is the Indianapolis Oval. The Brickyard 400 will not be part of the 2021 NASCAR schedule, which is a huge shock to me. I honestly thought when Roger Penske bought IMS, I really believe that his main goal was to, obviously, the Indy 500, but also to sort of give life to the Brickyard 400, because the Brickyard 400 since 2008 has been on a slow decline. And ever since the last 3 or 4 years, it has been on the brink of death. And I thought when Roger Penske would take over, he would sort of bring that track back to life. It looked like at first, this year's Brickyard 400 with the IndyCar NASCAR doubleheader on the Indy Road Course with the Xfinity Series on Saturday and the Brickyard 400 on Sunday, I thought it could really help the event. It did really well, a huge rating boost for the Brickyard 400. So to see it removed completely from the schedule next year, I was kind of surprised, not gonna lie. I was really surprised by this announcement, and it's just crazy to me that a crown jewel, NASCAR's crown jewel, the Brickyard 400, will not be part of the schedule in 2021. That's a real shock to me. But not to worry, Indy fans, NASCAR will still go racing at the Yard of Bricks, just it'll be turning left and right. But now let's take a look at the full 36 race schedule for the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series. Now 36 races, that's not a surprise there. I'm pretty sure the only time we're ever going to see a possible shorting of races, maybe from 36 to 32, is in 2025 when NASCAR's new television contract comes into play. So we're not going to talk about race lengths in terms of the season anytime soon. But we already knew from the beginning Daytona 500 was going to start the season February 14th. Now, originally, Daytona Speed Weeks is from a 2-week period. First week is the Clash, ARCA Series at Daytona, and Daytona 500 qualifying. Then the second week, you have the Duels, Trucks, Xfinity, and of course the 500 on Sunday. Well, that has been changed to a Daytona Speed Week. All those races condensed into 1 week. Well, NASCAR wanted to, I guess you could say, create a Daytona Speed Weeks and transition into a Florida Speed Weeks, because now the second race of the season is Homestead, February 21st. So we're going to have the first race be in Central Florida, or Northern Florida, sort of, and the second race of the season is going to be in South Florida. Now, race 3 to race 5 is NASCAR's Go West Tour. We go to Fontana, Las Vegas, and Phoenix. No real change there, except this year's NASCAR Goes West had Las Vegas as the second race of the season, Fontana, and then Phoenix. This year, it's one race back, and Vegas and Fontana swap dates. Atlanta, race 6, March 21st. Again, kind of no surprise there. I think it was supposed to be race number 6 this year and even last year, so no change for Atlanta there. Race number 7, of course, March 28th, Bristol on dirt. Yeah, again, I already explained my thoughts on this on the last episode. I'm not going to do it again because I'll just be repeating myself. But right after Bristol already is an off weekend. Kind of surprised by this. Very early on, we already have an off week for NASCAR, but I think it also makes sense because you're going to have teams getting ready to prepare for a dirt race. You know, you build your cup cars completely different from an asphalt race compared to a dirt race. So I guess NASCAR gives them a week off to sort of get back to normal after the Bristol dirt race. So I understand it right there. Race number 8 and race 9 are both short track races, Martinsville and Richmond. April 25th sees NASCAR Cup Series racing go to the Talladega Superspeedway. Race 11, Kansas. And race 12, Darlington. That's right, for the first time since, I think, 2003. Either 2003 or 2004. Darlington will get 2 races on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. Dover, race 13, May 16th. And then we go to our first road course of the NASCAR schedule, May 23rd, Circuit of the Americas. That will replace the first Texas date, which is usually around the spring/summer times. COTA, for the first time ever in NASCAR history, they will be racing around Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. I am very excited for this race. That's going to be on everyone's calendar, or at least a lot of people's calendar, to either attend or to watch. This is going to be a must-watch event. Very excited to see how NASCAR does around that racetrack. Race 15 Memorial Day weekend, the Coca-Cola 600, no surprise there, remains on the schedule on the same date. Race 16, NASCAR turns left and right once again to Sonoma, so 2 road courses in 3 weeks. That'll take place on June 6th. And then after that will be the All-Star race from the Texas Motor Speedway. Now, the All-Star race next year is going to be around 2 to 3 weeks after its original spot, which is right the week before the Coca-Cola 600. So June 13th, NASCAR will be going to the All-Star race at Texas Motor Speedway. And then the week after the All-Star race at Texas, NASCAR will be going to Nashville Super Speedway for the first time in its history. June 20th will be the inaugural Nashville 400. I don't know what it's called, but NASCAR will be racing at Nashville for the first time on June 20th. A lot of people say that this could be a stepping stone for NASCAR to eventually race at Nashville Fairgrounds in the near future. I mean, there's already been tweets from Nashville Super Speedway's Twitter page of a restoration project going on over there, because I'm pretty sure when you look at Nashville Super Speedway over the years, weeds and grass, and it just looks pretty abandoned. So obviously the team and everyone that's working at the facility is going to do a lot of renovation done to get the track back up to, I guess, the Cup Series standards. And then race 18, race 19 on the 26th and the 27th of June will be the Pocono doubleheader. Now, this was supposed to take place this year, but obviously due to COVID-19, fans were not allowed. And I think the Pocono doubleheader was pushed back, I believe. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, it was supposed to take place with fans. That was also another event, or races, I should say, that I had a lot of people interested in. I mean, NASCAR's never done a doubleheader, at least in the Cup Series, so a lot of people are excited for this event, and it looks like NASCAR is going to give Pocono another shot to see what do the fans think of it, do they like it, or not. Race 20 of the season sees NASCAR go to another new racetrack, I think for the first time ever. I could be wrong about that, because I did hear that NASCAR raced at this venue at least one time. Road America will be making its debut to the NASCAR Cup Series schedule July 4th weekend. NASCAR will be racing at Road America. Road America is one of my favorite racetracks. Almost every single time the Nationwide Series races at that track, it has put on banger after banger. And Road America was always one of those tracks that I've always wanted to see get on the Cup Series schedule. And our wish has been granted. So very happy to see NASCAR make this change. Now, race 21, we'll see the Cup Series go back to Atlanta July 11th. Now, I am kind of surprised that NASCAR picked Atlanta as a second race. Atlanta, in my opinion, is a track that hasn't put on the best races as of late, as I think the track is starting to get really worn out, but that's just my opinion. But this could possibly have to do with Atlanta's new project when they're adding casinos and Ferris wheels, and there's this whole new project behind the scenes. I'll put up on screen right now of NASCAR adding or at least Atlanta Motor Speedway adding all these things right next to the racetrack to encourage more people to come to the facility, or at least to maybe go to the racetrack and enjoy some entertainment outside the racetrack as a way to convince them to go to Atlanta a lot more. So maybe this is an experiment. I could be wrong about that, but that's the only reason I could see why NASCAR would give Atlanta a second day. It was just odd, in my opinion, to see Atlanta, of all tracks, get a second day. Again, it's not I hate Atlanta. I love Atlanta, but I don't know. Atlanta, it just came out of the blue. I was like, oh, Atlanta is the second day? Okay, that's a bit weird. Race 22, July 18th, NASCAR will be going to New Hampshire, and then we'll get a 2-week break due to the Olympics, because remember now, during this portion of the season, the Olympics are taking place on NBC across all NBC platforms, NBCSN, USA Network, and things like that. So I guess as a way to avoid competition, and so that NBC doesn't have to sort of move NASCAR to other shows which conflict with the Olympics and create so much havoc, they just decided, you know what, we'll give a 2-week break from NASCAR racing for the Olympics. Now, the funny thing is that this is supposed to take place this year. We were supposed to get a 2-week break because the Olympics were supposed to take place this year in Tokyo, but again, COVID-19 pushed it back 1 year, so instead of having a 2-week break this year, we're going to have it next year. And then the final 4 races, race 23 and race 24, back-to-back road courses, Watkins Glen, August 8th, and then race 24. The Brickyard 400 is out. Replacing it will be the Indy Road Course, August 15th. The Indy Road Course will be making its debut on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. Looks like after the success of the Xfinity Series, which, let's be honest, it was a beautiful race the Xfinity Series put on at the Indy Road Course. It looks like NASCAR executives loved it so much they decided to give a shot for the Cup Series. Now, like that's gonna be so weird going to Indianapolis for NASCAR and not running the Brickyard 400 again. As much as how boring the Brickyard 400 has been for years and years, I don't know. It just feels so weird. I love this change. I love that NASCAR is going on the Indy road course, but I don't know. Part of me just, as much as I never liked the Brickyard 400, there's this part of me that somewhat enjoyed at least knowing that we're racing on the Indy road, the Indy Oval. So I don't know. I could just be me thinking of that, but I don't know. I found that it feels weird. Again, I love this change, but it just feels weird. Maybe that's why it feels so right. Race 25 will be in Michigan, August 22nd, and the regular season finale will take place once again at Daytona under the lights on August 28th. And actually, for the final 10 races in the NASCAR playoffs, there's virtually no change, if I'm not mistaken. We start off the round of 16, or at least the playoffs, in the Southern 500. Richmond and Bristol in the round of 16. The round of 12 will have Las Vegas, Talladega, and the Charlotte Roval. Round of 8 will have Texas, Kansas, and Martinsville. Then we end off the season with the championship finale in Phoenix. So really zero change in the playoffs, which I was kind of surprised at. Obviously, a lot of people saying get rid of Texas. They're not going to get rid of Texas, especially with Eddie Gossage being such a main part of that and his connection with NASCAR. If Texas is going to lose a date, they're going to lose their spring date. They're not going to lose their chase or their playoff date, even though I think they should, because they butchered that racetrack so much they don't deserve a playoff race, but that's just my opinion. I was very surprised on how there was no change at all for the playoffs. I thought we maybe see at least one or two changes. Maybe a change, maybe a change for Kansas or Richmond race. I don't know. I was just very shocked to see no change at all for the playoffs, but maybe we will see that later on down the line. And yeah, that is it for the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series schedule. Now my thoughts, I love it. I really enjoy the schedule, especially in the summer. The whole bulk of summer is filled with road courses. You've got COTA, you've got Sonoma, you've got Watkins Glen, you've got Road America, you got the Indy Road Course, all from May to August. You also sprinkle in a little bit of races like the doubleheader at Pocono. You're throwing at Atlanta in the middle of the summer. You're throwing Daytona at the end of August. You're throwing Nashville, a new racetrack coming to NASCAR this season, and on June 20th. In my opinion, the best part of the schedule is the summer. Is the bulk of summer from May to August. Those the different racetracks in NASCAR will be going to, and the new tracks in NASCAR will be attending this season. I think if there's any part of the season that fans should be excited for, it's going to be the summer. There are some good changes in the early part of the season. I think moving Homestead to the second race of the season, I think, is a good change, because Homestead, in my opinion, is a racetrack that I think deserves a lot more than the intention that it's been getting. And usually the second most watched race of the season is the second race at the Daytona 500. So of course, Homestead is going to get a lot more eyeballs on the racetrack, and hopefully it can bring in some more revenue and give some upgrades to that racetrack, because I've been hearing from a lot of people, including IDK Player, who's a guy that goes to Homestead almost every single year, couldn't go to this year, but he has said that that's a racetrack that needs desperate renovations. I mean, there have been things that are decades old, 1 or 2 decades old, that need to be upgraded. So hopefully we can see that change take place with Homestead. But yeah, overall, I give this I don't want to give this a number, mainly because the only thing I would have liked to see was a change with the playoffs. That's the only thing I would have liked to see. But other than that, I enjoy the schedule. I like it. I really do like it. There's no real bad parts for me. Like, I wasn't expecting a major overhaul. Like, I was expecting some racetracks to be placed where they were on the schedule. Like Atlanta, I think race 6. NASCAR goes west early on in the season with Fontana, Vegas, and Phoenix. There are certain tracks I expected to be on the schedule. I think as we go later on to the years, maybe 2023, 2024, is when we're going to really start to see a big overhaul with NASCAR. But I think for its first start, under the, I guess you could say, no sanction contract rule, experiment with new racetracks, like with the Bristol on dirt, going to COTA, going to the Indy Road Course, going to Nashville, going to Road America. I think it's a well done NASCAR. And let's be honest, it's a lot more better than IndyCar's proposed schedule. Oh god, I feel bad for David Land. But yeah, that's going to conclude this episode of Inside the Lines. Now guys, tell me in the comment section down below, what are your thoughts on NASCAR's 2021 schedule? Do you like it or do you not? Again, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. But until next time, my name is JettMDK. Don't forget to like and subscribe to more content, and I'll see you guys next time.